Thank you very much, Matt. For those who don't know me, my name is Daniel Robb. I'm one of the industry heads in the travel team here in the UK. And I have the great pleasure of introducing Dr. Patrick Dixon, as introduced by Robin earlier. Patrick's a futurologist. He is chairman of globalchange.com and has been ranked as one of the 20 most influential business thinkers today. He has published many books and papers on business change, and today has submitted his final transcript for his book, Sustain Agility, on the green economy, to publish in 2010. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Patrick Dixon.
Thank you very much. And my job is, as a futurist, is to work with many of the largest companies in the world, helping them to do two things. One is to minimize their risk, and the other is to seize the opportunity. And you know, it's easy to look at the video and collapse in depression and think that somehow the travel industry will never quite recover. There are two things here. Firstly, recovery will come. Put your hands up if you think that recovery will come within the next 3 years to this country. Put your hands up. Put your hands up if you think it's going to come within the next 24 months. Not so many. The fact is, we have a view, we can have a debate, but it will come. And the other issue that's going to change the travel industry, of course, is exchange rates, and whatever happens to the pound in relation to the dollar and the euro has the most dramatic impact on your revenues. But some other good news. If you are in the global travel industry, whatever the exchange rate does, all it does is tell you who's going to be traveling where. So it's easy if you're based only in the UK, if you have all the eggs in that particular basket, to be very overexposed to the value of one particular currency. But the fact is that travel is here to stay, we are addicted to it, it's in our genetic code, and that has to be good news for you. So I'm going to spell the future of the travel, tourism, hospitality industries, F-U-T-U-R-E, and the first phase of the future is fast, to do with the speed of change, and it's a question of what is on the outer edge of this radar screen. And all kinds of low probability events can come crashing into the travel industry. For example, it could be a weather phenomenon, it could be a tornado, it could be a worry about a new mutant virus. All kinds of things can happen very quickly. All kinds of things can happen within your companies too. And one thing we begin to understand, it doesn't matter whether you look at the subprime crisis, whether you look at the impact of an event like bird flu or whatever it is, or swine fever, we begin to see that the future will be driven by a single word, and it's not even about Google. It's not about technology, it's not about innovation. Now these things, don't get me wrong, they're all incredibly important. But the most important driver of all is emotion. Why? Because it is the connection of emotion with technology, connection of emotion with the things which are happening around us that will drive the future. That's why we don't believe in market research. Oh yes, you listen to it, just don't believe it. Market research will tell you what people are going to do tomorrow and the day after, and if you're lucky, in 3 to 6 months' time, so long as a big event hasn't happened. Market research is simply a historical study of what people told you yesterday. But their emotions can change very rapidly. If you start thinking about people who might have thought of investing in the Dubai economy last Wednesday, market research does not tell you what money will flow into the Dubai economy next week. It can only tell you what people thought about it yesterday. So we need to go a little bit further. We need to take a guess on what the future will be like, and then try and imagine your customers within it. And here are some of the things which I'm seeing. And this is just a personal view, and I'll whistle through a few of these things. We're seeing them to one degree or another. Some of these things are going to be incredibly significant. As the faster the world goes, the faster we have to unwind. And that means intense leisure breaks, and that's going to be a continuing boom time. Yes, I know, it'll vary a little bit depending on the amount of money people have in their pockets at the moment and the exchange rate. But the fact is, short breaks, stress busters, rapid growth of city tourism, these are going to be huge things for the future right across the European Union. Stag nights, hen weekends, and couple resorts. Here's an interesting thing. Every now and then you find bits and pieces within the travel industry about which people seem blind. Put your hands up if you've been on a couples resort only holiday. Hardly anybody. Put your hands up if you might be interested in going to a resort where there's no screaming children, crying babies, or adolescents puking in the corridors. My friends, this is an interesting market. It's a luxury premium market right now with almost zero provision except in Jamaica. You cannot find, I don't think, hardly one single hotel apart from in one small Greek island which will only cater for couples. One of the other things that happens with speed is impatience. We are unbelievably impatient now. You know that you will lose up to 30% of all the web traffic to your site within the first 5 to 6 seconds if your site doesn't come up, bang. And you also know, and Google will teach you these things, that if you have just one added question to add onto a registration page or one other box to fill, you start losing about 5 to 10% of all of your sales with every single extra question you ask. My friends, we are in an impatient world. And I can't tell you how annoying it is for me sometimes to find it. I'm having to wait 24 hours for a response for a hotel. Put your hands up if you find that annoying. You found them, and now you're on an email address, and nothing is happening. You can't make the booking. My friends, this is last century stuff. Hotels like that will be toast, they'll be dead, they'll be closed within the next 12 months unless they sort themselves out. By the way, talking of hotels, here I am. I've traveled halfway around the world, and I travel 50 times a year doing things like this. I've been through the American immigration system and got out the other side. I'm in a taxi. I think I'll just about make it. I'm at the hotel. There I am. What is the one thing that I need right now? I'm at the reception desk. I'm trying to check in. What is the one thing I want? What is the one thought I have in my mind right now? Drink, shower, no. And it's not even email. Toilet. I think I'm going to have a real accident in another 33 seconds if she doesn't check me in right now. All I want is a key. Now, can please anybody tell me, why is it that I can't be electronically checked in? Why is it with this electronic system that I can't just produce a card, that you couldn't send an SMS saying to me, your key is in your pocket, it's your credit card, just swipe it through the door, it's 371, and good day to you? Why is it that I have to go through the same old business, filling in my passport number for the 43,000th time inside the same hotel chain? I'm saying these are areas where sometimes I think we can be blind to the future. One of my jobs is to remove risk. One of the greatest risks in any organization is institutional blindness. We spend so much time with people inside our own industry that we forget what it actually feels like to be a consumer. And I remember I checked in a hotel once and they said, "Oh, Dr. Dixon, thank you. We've been looking forward to you arriving in our hotel." This is a 25-star hotel. I said, "You'll be delighted to know that we have a special place where you can check in now." I said, "I don't need a special place. I need a key." They sat me down. I said, "Would you like a cup of coffee?" No, I just need a key. They kept me there for 5 to 10 minutes while they were sorting everything out. They brought me this, and they brought me that, and that. This is utter madness. Stark raving loony bonkers because the owner of the hotel doesn't know what it feels like to be a customer who's traveled 23 hours around the world. So hotels need to make life easier for the consumer. What does that mean? It means instant check-in. Yes, it means free wireless broadband. How annoying is it to spend $300 on a room and then find I've still got to spend 15 minutes trying to get my credit card number out? Hello? Is it just me? It's just odd. We need good IT support that runs till 1 in the morning. That speaks English. I'm not exaggerating. This is the substance of life. I promise you, my friends, you can get lost in all the techno stuff. This is the future of the travel industry. It's connecting with the passions people have and delivering what they need. What about power sockets that actually are connected to the desks? You know, one time I had to ring down and get an extension cord because there was no connection. The power socket was by the door and the desk was by the window, but that's another issue. Irons. Even in a 20-star hotel, I don't care. I check in at 1 in the morning. I'm on a platform at 7. How do I get my shirt ironed? I need an iron in the room. I said, no, sir, we don't do that because we're a 25-star hotel. And a knife and plate would be handy. This is what happens when we start thinking about life from the experience of a consumer. By the way, this is a business class room. Look at the desk. Wonderful, isn't it? Put your hands up if you spend your life clearing desks of clutter in hotel rooms. What kind of insanity is this? I don't know how many trees they cut down to fill these desks full of pieces of paper. The first thing I do is throw it all on the floor. And then the following day, I feel sorry for the cleaner, so I put it back on the desk again. Fast, urban. Urban is about demographics, fashions, and fads. and the biggest engine of travel, which is 1 billion children alive today, many of whom will want to travel in the future, and many of them are. In China, we are seeing a whole new generation of middle-class Chinese starting to travel. The German people are expecting 1 million Chinese visitors in the next year or two as a result of a single piece of paper signed with the Chinese government. And as our lifestyles start to change, we add other pressures as well. I have sat in the middle of two very well-endowed people recently and wondered how I could breathe at all. These are issues. We have beds that break. We have seats that don't fit. We need to be thinking what life is like for the customer. I don't just mean a well-endowed customer, but I mean the rest of your people as well. With demographics, fashions, fads, health trends, 1 million trips to Thailand last year to get operations. It's a new trend. It's a travel industry. Did you think you're in the healthcare business? You probably are. You may not realize it. You may not know some of the reasons why people are actually traveling. 75% of all the wealth of Britain is owned by those over the age of 65, and 65% of all those over the age of 65 are women. That means that most of the UK and US wealth is owned by old women, of which there are a very large number. In Italy, by 2026, there will be over 1 million people who are over the age of 90, almost all of whom are women. It's a new travel market. Maybe not. But the point is this: aging will drive your business. It's a huge trend, and one that perhaps we're not quite ready for. Let me give you an example. Many people think, oh yes, of course, we're going for the saga age group, in which I now am because I'm 52. And that means golf and a few other things. Well, actually, it may mean more than that. We're talking about a population who feel a lot younger than they actually are. They have a mental age of 40, a physical age of 50, but a biological age of 65 plus. And yet some things actually are getting older. Again, here's another interesting hotel room. Fascinating that someone could even consider putting 3 steps inside a room as well as leading up to a room. Here's another thought. Put your hands up if you need your glasses to read a restaurant menu at night by candlelight. Every human being over the age of 50, 51, 52 needs glasses to read most restaurant menus in London. Strange thing. Most of the people who eat in most of the best restaurants in London are over the age of 50. What a strange thing. Here we have the basic marketing tool, which is the menu, which is completely impossible to use without next-generation technology for anyone under the age of 8. Okay, I'm exaggerating a bit, but the fact is that it's part of the blindness. It's part of what happens when we lose sight of our customers. Most restaurants in London have failed to understand that their restaurant menus actually need to be changed. It's a tiny thing, but it's very important. And for the travel industry as a whole, it means things like much more reliable transport. It means paying attention to detail, like making sure that people are around to take the bags down to the out to the hotel room and so on. Fast, urban, tribal. Tribalism is the most powerful force in the whole world. It's about culture, identity, team, belonging, and family. It's about language and nation. Tribalism is one of the reasons why we travel. We travel to experience other people's tribes, and we travel as tribes. Most people travel in a tribe unless they're traveling on business. They travel with a friend or a group of friends, with family and everything else. Every strong brand creates a tribe, and the stronger your brand, the stronger your tribe will be, which is very good news for you because video is very bad at creating tribes. Although people are increasingly using video for routine business transactions, when it comes to building trust, and remember, business is actually about relationship. Most people want to do a relationship with someone they feel good about at a serious level. Then we're talking about something which is difficult to do, even with huge walls of screens and videos and everything else as well. So corporate travel, while it's showing a dip right now, I promise you, it's not the end of that story. Yes, it's true, an increasing proportion of premium travel will go down and become more economic, and they'll push people on budget airlines. It is also true that an increasing proportion of total business meetings will be done virtually. But the number of business meetings globally is increasing so fast that you can expect to continue to see the number of business trips grow over the next 3 to 5 years, certainly once the economy recovers. And we are only in the first stages of globalization. The next 10 years will be very interesting. Conferencing builds tribes. Yes, there will be pressure on that particular market, but quite a lot of it will come back. And the demand for conferencing, when it happens, will be for a real tribal experience, not just another convention. Something that's really spectacular. And on the back of that, you'll find some leisure travel coming back as well, because 33% of all tourism in this particular city comes from business travel. But here's another example of blindness. I regularly fly out to the US in one direction, come back to the UK in the other. When I'm going out, I'm in business mode. When I'm coming back, I'm crashing. When I'm going out, I have a long, exciting day, and I'm so buzzed up I don't even want to go to sleep till 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, UK time. When I'm going out, I couldn't care less about the food. Why? I'm too busy. The movies, I couldn't care less. I will be doing 10, 12, or 14 hours on that particular flight. The only thing I want is power. Nothing more traumatic than remembering I forgot my spare battery halfway through a flight. So I need power, but nothing else. And actually, all I really need is an economy seat. Coming back, I will pay the earth for the best business class seat in the world, which is probably our own national airline, or nearly that, the old British Airways. They've got great seats. I came back on another airline. It wasn't BA, because the flight team was difficult. And here was an interesting phenomenon. It wasn't this airline. This is Virgin. They are brilliant too. They've got it right. They understand what motion is about. I came back on an airline that was full of American passengers. So they were on American daylight time. So as far as they were concerned, it was only about 4 in the afternoon. I thought it was about 4 in the morning, nearly. So as far as I was concerned, did I want food? No. Did I want a drink? Yes. I wanted 3 bottles of water by my bed. Or actually, there wasn't a bed, it was just a sloping seat, but never mind. I just wanted 3 bottles of water and just to be left alone in sheer darkness and in absolute quiet. What did I get? Every 2 hours, throughout the entire night, I got more announcements about duty-free. Extraordinary. 2 hours before they were going to wake me for breakfast, an hour and a half before the flight landed, another insanity, I was still being offered duty-free perfume and all kinds of other things. Utter madness. Why does these things happen? I can't imagine how they could possibly have made such a fundamental mistake. This is a global airline in business class. What happened? Can you explain it to me? I can only conclude that not a single person who was on the entire staff of that plane, from top to bottom, had ever traveled as someone who was jet-lagged on a business flight, or on any flight, come to that. What a strange thing. I'm just saying how easy it is for us to make quite big assumptions about the clients that we have and miss the future, which is being able to anticipate how the person feels before they even know it. Fast, urban, tribal, I'll go more quickly through these other phases. Globalization, yes. Murders, I'm afraid we will see a few more losses. Internet, we've talked about already. Fascinating. Yes, instant access to bookings and the rest. I know it's a fallacy. You know that you can sell much more cheaply, a long way ahead. That the consumer thinks they're getting all their best deals 1 stroke before midnight. That's a challenge for us. And people want to buy simply. They want to do the big deals, perhaps over the phone, but they want to do the shopping online first. But one thing that's quite interesting is what's happening about the revelation, transparency about capacity. Some of the airlines have been hit with this really quite badly. See, in the olden days, you had no idea how full a flight would be. You might have some slight indication from the price, but basically it was pot luck. You just booked what you did. Now, if you are a gold card business traveler, if you've got the right to get upgraded at almost any point, what do? You say, the last thing I'm going to do is waste any of my money on a business class fare. I just hunt around for the most packed out flight I can find from LA and come back on that. Because you know what? 9 times out of 10, I'll end up in first or business for nothing. And so many people wised up to this that some airlines have had to completely rethink their loyalty programs. They think, well, either we have to stop this data leaking out, or we have to revise the thing and make it much more random about which gold card people get elevated and give a few silver cards a look in. So all kinds of implications start happening to models of travel when the technology starts to hit in. And that is going to become even more so over the next 2 or 3, 4 years. I think we're going to see an unbelievably huge jump in transparency in just about every capacity part of the system. over the next 3 to 5 years. By the way, put your hands up if you've been tricked into buying insurance you didn't even know you were buying when you're traveling online. These kind of things, they're little sneaky tricks, but they generate passion out of all proportion to the income that's being generated. And again, I think we need to be very careful. It's easy to engineer a page for maximum revenue, but be careful. Take care and start to think about what it actually might look like. TripAdvisor is an interesting site. Why is it interesting? Because just about every time you type in the name of a hotel, it comes up even higher than the hotel's official site, which means the hotel has to kick back with a paid listing on Google. Google's very happy about TripAdvisor, therefore. But here's a choice. You've got 3 choices. You typed in the name of, let's say, of a random London hotel or a Madrid hotel, and you've got 3 choices. One is the official site, which is kicked back with its little paid listing, which has been carefully tested using your analytics. Secondly, and actually analytics are absolutely vital, you can increase the click-through rate by 60, 70, or 80%. And the nice thing is it takes you less than 20 minutes. If you've got a busy site, you can just play. You can put up 10 or 15 different slogans, test them out, and you got the answer straight away. No need to go through a great big advertising agency and go through all the normal cycles. It's all within your grasp. And the other fascinating thing is this. What you learn about your potential audience and customers through your click-throughs, you can then roll out in your paper-based advertising, in the newspapers and the rest. And chances are you get the right answers there too. So this kind of environment is a tremendous way of learning about your customers at incredible speed. But here's the point. You've only got 3 choices. You typed in the name of the hotel. TripAdvisor, with its 45 million people who are all commenting on every single trip they do, have delivered you, through Google, 2 suggestions of pages that might interest you. The first one is the best hotel in the world. The second is don't even think about it. And the third one is the paid listing on the other side. You've only got 1 click. Which do you go for first? Put your hands up if you go first to the official site for the truth about the hotel to learn all you need to learn. First. Put your hands up first if you go for the honeymoon, best hotel in the world because you want to lift yourself up. I usually get 1 or 2. And put your hands up if you went straight for the rats, the cockroaches, and the food poisoning. My friends, what you've told me is this. Regardless of the life out there, in the travel industry, advertising is dead in the online world. That's what you've just told me. I'm exaggerating a little bit. But what you've told me is that you don't trust the brand. You don't trust, it doesn't matter whether it's the Hilton or the Marriott, you don't trust any of that kind of marketing spin. Actually, the only thing that you trust is the comments by other travelers. And if you remember nothing else about this presentation, it's to remember that. Because you've told me that. You told me that the comments of travelers are infinitely more important. That you will never get someone clicking through on your site, your own site, if they've got the option to click through on someone else's site about the same holiday that you're offering, but with a random comment by a total stranger. And by the way, are they a total stranger? Who wrote the nice comment at the top? Yes, it wasn't quite the owner because, of course, he gets rumbled because his email will appear, so he paid his nephew's girlfriend. So who wrote the site at the bottom? Competitor, of course. No, I mean, you knew that. I knew that. But I said to you earlier, listen, the future is not about rational logic. I mean, it's about emotion. And the fact is, even though you knew that the rats had been invented, the cockroaches never existed, they were just a figment in a competitor's imagination, even so, you all clicked on them first. My friends, we are rational human beings, your clients are not. They will do the same as you. And if we learn one thing, we learn this. The opinion of a perfect stranger, even if you're suspicious of them, will be more trusted than your own websites. And that means we need to take the utmost care about how our products and services are received, but there's some good news here too. If your products are good, if you actually get inside the mind of your customer, if you can read their emotion and intuitively know how they're feeling before they even know they want something, you will shine like the brightest stars in the universe, and you will find your customers are driving business to you by putting up comment after comment after comment. However small you are, you'll be able to compete with the largest and greatest brands in the world just because you keep on peering up there every time someone types in hotel in Istanbul. And You'll find these things cropping up in maps on your iPhone or something like that. You type in the name of a hotel, bang, straight away you've got it on the map, and the stars are already appearing from the comments of people who've stayed there recently. It is hard to underestimate the power of this change. Fast, urban, tribal, universal, radical. Well, that's about single-issue activism, but it's also about experience. It's about change. It's about wanting something new. It's about exotic holidays. It's about the fact that at the top end, who cares about price? It's about the fact that actually, for over half the people in this country, they are much better off than they were last year. Why? Because prices have fallen, in case you hadn't noticed. I have. You have. 2.5%, 3%, 4%, 5%. We can debate about how much. It depends on what you buy. But we are seeing deflation of all kinds of costs within our economy. And that's number one. Number two, even more importantly, for many people, their greatest cost has fallen significantly, which is their mortgage. Someone who's on a tracker mortgage, they've seen a 5% or more drop in interest rates on their mortgage, which has been their largest outgoing, and this gives us tremendous power. So these are tremendous opportunities. We don't need to be all doom and gloom. We just need to go hunting for the people who are actually better off this year than they were last year, number one. And number two, also recognize there's some for whom cost wasn't the issue anyway and won't be in the future. They're wealthy enough not to have to worry about the particular cost of the holiday. What they're interested in is what your experience will deliver for them, which hopefully is something that is very hard for them to put together themselves. It could be a flight to space, maybe, but it could be all kinds of different things. And again, we're connecting with an age group that perhaps is a little bit older and has got the time to really hunt around, and they are going to hunt around for this kind of stuff online. They're going to want to watch the videos. They're going to want to look at the experiences and the feedback of a whole community of people that have been on it, and they're probably, after all the hunting, going to want a 15-minute conversation with you on the phone, and then they're going to do a great big deal. And yes, all kinds of different things are in there, but sustainability is, of course, one of the big radical issues which will continue to shake and transform the future of this entire industry. And I'm not just talking about recycling the towels or providing more sophisticated air conditioning. I'm not just talking about ecotourism, although that is part of it, but I'm talking about fundamental rethink about the use of carbon in travel and tourism and every aspect of it. Take Eurostar, for instance. Eurostar is now saying not only they're claiming, I think probably the claim is harder to substantiate than they might say, because these things are very complicated to compare, because it actually depends on how many passengers were on that particular carriage that day, how many passengers on that airline, what model of the airline was, how long the airline had to hold above Heathrow Airport coming into land again. All kinds of things can affect it. But Eurostar would say that they are using much less carbon for an individual trip between London and Paris than just about any other way to travel. Number one. Number two, just in case you were worried about the tiny little gram of carbon that you emitted, they have offset it all, every single bit. Even the energy to produce your cup of coffee on the train is offset. Even the energy to produce the paper of the ticket, all offset 100% green. One thing's for sure, once the Madrid to Barcelona rail line opened, air traffic fell by 50%, my friends, 50% in 24 months. And as for Paris to Lyon traffic, it's completely gone, almost completely gone by air. So high-speed rail, in which our world is investing a lot, will profoundly change short-haul flying. There is no doubt about that. At the same time, you will continue to see claims which can be verified by people like EasyJet that they are offering consistently the same flights from A to B for 25% less carbon per person than any other way, and it's cheaper in terms of cost as well. How are they doing it? Simply by packing more bodies on planes, which is the oldest trick on the book, and getting a greater return on the capital that you have by whisking these planes in and out, and so on and so on and so on, and just being incredibly hyper-efficient. Carbon tax or trade, what's going to happen there? Difficult to tell. But one thing's for sure, we are going to find added charges added onto airline tickets as a result of the worries over carbon. Will it matter? I'm not sure in the wider scheme of things it really will. It may hold back growth for a year or 18 months, and I think we'll find it gets absorbed and people just see it as part of life because of the hunger to travel. One thing, though, we will see is that carbon trading becomes the largest derivative market in the whole world. It could be worth $1 trillion a year by 2020. Extraordinary. And this trade allows someone like KLM. KLM has already decided to do this. Every time their carbon use increases by 1 gram from last year's level, they offset it 100%. Now, because KLM imagines that their traffic will have doubled in 15 years, that means in 15 years, over half of all the air miles that airline travels will be offset. What that means is they will go and invest for every ton of carbon that they think they've used, they will go and invest in a scheme in somewhere like India, which activates a non-commercially viable wind farm or something like that, so it can actually be built. As a result of that, carbon is saved from being burnt in another part of the world, and they will use that as a credit to offset against what they're doing. And you will see all kinds of companies offering carbon offsets. In fact, it's relatively cheap. To do a carbon offset, you will find, say, of a flight between here and Zurich, it's probably going to cost you less than £10. Now, on a budget airline where you got the price nearly for free because they were doing a special offer, that's quite a lot. But on a normal economy return, it's basically nothing. And these are some of the, when you put it all together with the increasing affluence of our world and the fact that other things will become cheaper as our technology improves, I expect that even if oil was to settle at around $125 a barrel, that we will see air travel treble in the next 23 years. I'm not saying here in the European Union, I'm meaning globally. I mean, when you talk about the 100 million people every single year who have taken their first plane flight in India, another 100 million doing the same in China and becoming just as addicted to that lifestyle as you or I. Finally, fast, urban, tribal, universal, radical, and ethical. How on earth do we live in this crazy world? And the answer is we need ethics and values like never before. Ethics are a part of building trust. And ethics are part of the transparency about delivering what we say we will. And the most important ethic of all is this, and it's very simple, and it must be the one value that underpins every industry, especially travel. It's that we deliver on the promise and we only sell what we believe in. I checked into a hotel the other day, and I checked out. And they offered me a phone bill of $249. I said, how can this be? I've had many frustrations going online with your broadband system, and my own broadband card wasn't working here. But tell me this, I have made 15 local calls, or thereabouts. Each one of them failed to connect. I tried to dial a local ISP. How last century is that? But that's what you're reduced to doing, occasionally in a very remote part of the world. I said 15 calls failed to connect. Actually, this was in the US, funnily enough. 15 calls failed to connect, and I get a bill for $258. They said, no, sir. If you have a look, each call was for less than a minute, but it did connect. I said, what do you mean? It went, you mean I get charged $15 per call? Well, that's it. That you get $15 per call. What, for a local call? I said, yes, sir. I said, please tell me where it says that in the room. If I had known, I would have thought differently. I said, well, I'm sure it says somewhere in your room. Please tell me where. Can you take me up and show me? There's a manual. Yes, I know the manual is that thick. On which page is it? I don't know what page it is, but I'm sure it is in there somewhere. It's 15. I said, tell me this. Just answer me one question. So how long have you been in this hotel? Oh, 10 years, sir. Has your mum ever been here? Oh, yes, sir. She stayed here once. I see. Now, when you brought your mum in, and you put her in the lift, and you press the button, and you're going up, what's the one thing you say to her? You say, Mum, promise you one thing. Don't use the phone. She says, oh, is there something wrong with the phones, dear? No. Just don't use the phones. It's a complete rip-off, Mum. You would not believe how much we will charge you for it. It's near criminal. So if you say that to your mum, and he goes bright red, because of course that's exactly what he said. I said, so if you tell that to your mum, if you tell that to your best friend, why didn't you tell it to me when you saw me yesterday morning checking in? So while companies talk about profits, shareholder values, and bottom line, and all the rest of it, the conversation is somewhere else. And the conversation, certainly online, is about making life better for me, solving my problem, giving me a great experience, looking after my family, doing something great for the community at the same time, traveling in a way which doesn't wantonly trash the planet, but actually does something worthwhile at the same time, protects, helps, inspires, encourages. And that is the kind of travel industry which will be truly sustainable in the future. I do believe the travel industry has a great future, and especially, as I say, as we keep close to emotions and understand how our customers feel. Thank you very much.